Good afternoon, everyone. From the Central Illinois Fire Network Weather Center, I'm Larry Estep. We have a public severe weather outlook that's been issued by the Storm Prediction Center this afternoon, calling for a high risk of severe weather over a good portion of the Central Plains and Midwest this afternoon. Let's go to the maps here. I want to show you what we're talking about, as this is a potential for a pretty big June tornado outbreak. This high-risk area is including the areas of western Iowa, central and eastern Kansas, southern Minnesota, and central and eastern Nebraska this afternoon. And surrounding that, a moderate risk area goes all the way up into portions of the upper Midwest and all the way down into portions of Oklahoma, as you can see there. Slight risk all the way over into the same areas as yesterday, northwestern Illinois, and then general thunderstorms possible over the northern half of Illinois, although I think those will stay north of I-80 for the most part this afternoon. What we're looking at is the potential for strong tornadoes to develop by late this afternoon over a good portion of eastern Nebraska. You can see here we have a warm front kind of sitting right over Kansas and Nebraska, stretching back over, basically cutting Iowa in half and over into the Chicago area. That warm front is sitting there, and a cold front is basically starting to form as well. That's going to be the front that brings us severe weather tomorrow, but we've got a warm front to the north and a cold front to the west, and that's never a good sign as this streaming very strong southerly flow comes in and brings that moisture right in to meet the cold air, and the warm and cold air clash, and you know what that means. Severe weather begins to occur. Damaging wind potential. Squall line will start to evolve this afternoon. Isolated tornadoes possible over portions of eastern Nebraska. I think we're going to see, or rather eastern Kansas, I think we're going to see very strong, long-lived tornadoes develop over portions of eastern Nebraska and track right through the southern half of Iowa during the afternoon hours. So you see again, the area we're talking about is at high risk of severe weather. The western half of Iowa, eastern half of Nebraska, eastern half of Kansas, and then you've got that moderate risk that surrounds that in the red, as well slight risk in the green. Let's take a look at some of this in a little bit more detail. A couple of the tornado watches. These are PDS, or particularly dangerous situation watches, that are in effect. And this first one here over basically the entire middle half of Kansas. You see the squall line starting to develop on the left side of this watch, and that's going to start racing eastward and producing tornadoes most likely throughout the afternoon hours. And we're going to have to keep a very close eye on that, as well as another particularly dangerous situation watch, PDS watch, in effect for the western third of Iowa this afternoon and the eastern half of Nebraska. You see Lincoln there, Nebraska, included in this. Sioux City, Iowa, a pretty nasty supercell developing right around your area. Behind that, a line that's showing signs of rotation just crossing the Iowa and Nebraska border at this hour. So this tornado watch and this tornado watch, both particularly dangerous situation watches in effect, and so that's definitely something to watch very closely. A severe thunderstorm watch just to the north of that over the area you see there on the screen, and again those storms are starting to intensify and showing no signs of stopping this afternoon. Again, I want to highlight this particularly dangerous situation this afternoon and this evening. Western Iowa, central and eastern Kansas, southern Minnesota, and central and eastern Nebraska. And we will be watching very closely for a possibility of long-lived tornadoes and a very serious damaging wind threat throughout the afternoon. And we've had a lot of questions about tomorrow. Severe weather possible again here in central Illinois. So I want to show you our Day 2 outlook from the Storm Prediction Center. And guess what, folks? It seems to be a carbon copy of last Friday. Yep, you guessed it, the moderate risk right over Illinois, basically from St. Louis northward all the way to Chicago, and this time including the northwestern third of Indiana. So Lafayette on up through the Kokomo area. You may see a chance of moderate risk of severe weather tomorrow. I think this will start over along the Iowa Missouri border over around the Illinois River and come into central Illinois and then kind of stall out right over us here in Springfield along the I-55 corridor. And I think we'll then start to see some training cells, one right after another, as we did yesterday. Very serious situation we want to watch closely because some of the lakes and streams and creeks around central Illinois are at bank full, and it's not going to take much more to have a serious flash flooding situation. I was talking to some of our other folks here with the Fire Network this morning up in Logan and DeWitt counties. They had damage from some of these storms over the past couple of days, and they have serious flooding going on, and especially in DeWitt County around the Clinton area, we're going to have to watch that very closely because not a whole lot more rain could cause some serious problems there. They have some concerns with the levee system in some of these areas, and we're going to have to watch that very closely throughout the day tomorrow as the potential's there for 2 to 3 inches of rainfall at the low end for some areas across central Illinois. Pretty hard to pick what particular areas will get the worst storms, but the whole area, again, under a moderate risk for tomorrow. So stay tuned to the media, of course, throughout the day tomorrow. NOAA Weather Radio is your best resource always for the latest watches and warnings, and we'll try to keep you updated as well here through the Central Illinois Fire Network. I'm Larry Estep. Have a great afternoon.